Welcome to live chat. Okay, so let's just recap everything. Recap this part. If you can move to the front, move to the front. If you cannot see, move to this side. Because I'm going to use this side of the board. Okay, so y equal to sine of x. Domain is going to be negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. Range is going to be negative 1 to 1. Sine inverse, make sure you understand both. It's negative 1 to 1 because you're going to have some question that's involved with this. Range is going to be negative pi over 2 to pi over 2. Okay, so we should already have this. You should already know all this stuff. The only hard part is the rest of the information. We talked about this. There was an electric gate here that you don't pass, whatever your evaluation doesn't pass this part. Cosine is going to give me here. There is a restriction right here on the x-axis. So it's between 1 and 2nd quadrant. Tangent is going to give me this. You're not going to touch the x-axis because that's the y-axis because there's asymptotes there. So negative pi over 2 to pi over 2 and restrictions right here. So we're going to start with one of the question. Just make sure you guys understand this. What do you think of sine of inverse of negative square root 3 over 2? The answer will be. So write it down. What do you think the answer will be? I'll give you 30 seconds to write it down. Now remember the process of information. A lot of time, like when you take an SAT or PSAT or ACT, you guys, the question is super easy. If you process it and you do the questions, it's much more efficient than jump into the question and do it wrong and then had to start erasing all the work you did. So it's probably a lot of time you need to learn how to slow down. Okay? And this is one of my test strategy. I think that people is not supposed to speeding up. People are supposed to process information. Now you're not supposed to take forever to process information. So the proper amount of time to each SAT question, I'll say 20 seconds before you start. And then you should be able to solve the problem in 30 to 40 seconds. But if you're just trying to do the question in the first things you get without you process information, you're actually wasting more time because you have to go back to scratch out other things. So what do you think the sine inverse of negative square root 3 over 2 is? What is it? Negative pi over 6 is wrong because you didn't process your information.
1? I'm just guessing. I hope you're 3.
Nicholas? Negative pi over 3?
Negative pi over 3.
Hey, the good Nicholas is good. I just straight negative in front of it.
Okay. It's not pi over 3 because pi over 3 is on the top.
Oh,
Okay.
And then, yes, and then you got the wrong value. Sine is the y value. Cosine is the x value. So when y is square root 3 over 2, it's going to be in terms of all the pi over 3. Does that make sense? Now, in terms of pi over 3, it's going to be down negative. So only one that qualifies is the 4th quadrant. And you cannot go to 5 pi over 3, your answer should be negative pi over 3. Yes, Michael?
Could you do a proof of it? Because I don't know how to work that problem. A proof.
What do you mean the proof?
Like, work it out, because I don't know how to, like, from beginning to end that problem.
well, you have to know the units.
You have to know your unit circle.
I know, okay.
You do know your unit circle?
Yes.
So sine is
Y.
the y value.
Mhm.
So it's negative square root 3 over 2.
Mhm.
Negative square root 3 over 2 has to be in term pi over 3, so it should be right here on the unit circle.
Mhm.
Because the y value is square root 3 over 2, negative. Does that make sense?
Yes.
So in order to get here, it's gonna be 5 pi over 3, but it's not 5 pi over 3 because we crossed the restriction. So we go backward to negative pi over 3, so the answer is gonna be negative pi over 3.
So that's why it's sin -1.
What?
Sin -1.
Where's the sin -1?
Sine.
Sine inverse. How many times I say, do not say sin -1? First, you do not say sin.
It's sine.
It's not sin, it's sine.
Mm-hmm.
-1 is not supposed to be right, it's supposed to be sine inverse. Sine inverse is looking for an angle that represents the y value have a negative square root 3 over 2. Okay, questions? Now, this one you guys get it, but how about this one? So sine inverse of a negative square root 3. What is tangent? Tangent is what? Y over x. So which y over x value is going to give you square root 3? Also negative square root 3. So you have to pay attention to all that. So write it down. What do you think the answer is? And you can process that.
So sorry, if it was a regular sign, sin. If that was regular sign, what would it be? If it was not,
Sine.
yeah, if it was regular sign, what would it be?
Don't say sin.
Sine.
Sine.
Okay.
Okay. What happened?
If it was regular sign, what would it be? The first one.
You can't get an answer if it's sine. Sine and sine inverse are totally different things. One is asking question backwards.
So would it be the opposite, which you just flipped it?
No. Sine inverse does not asking. You cannot do sine of negative square root 3 over 2. That's a different part of the question. That's actually undefined. But the way I will ask you is that y value is like asking a question backwards. So it's asking like sine of pi over 6. Sine of pi over 6. Yesterday I already did this. I write it down on yesterday's notes. I don't know if you paid attention.
Sir,
Sine of pi over 6 is equal to 1/2. Okay? Now, I cannot assume that I don't know this function. Sine of theta is equal to 1/2. Basically, I'm going to do sine inverse on both sides. So that theta is equal to sine inverse of 1/2. So it's asking a different way to asking questions. Ask question backwards. It's like square root of 9 is 3. But as a result is 3, what is the square root before? So asking a question backwards.
And then you flip the answer.
I don't flip an answer. I didn't flip any answers.
If you look at that we just did, and you look at the one you gave us.
It's not flipping like this. It's asking what is before. Like, okay, here's a question, what is the answer? The second way is, here's the answer, what is the question?
Okay.
That's what the inverse means. So, do you guys manage to work out this part?
Yeah.
What do you guys get? Negative pi over 3, it's perfect. Okay, so how do you get negative pi over 3? But first of all, I don't know if it's a negative pi over 3. I'll tell you probably like, how do I get pi over 3, right? Or did you get pi over 3? No, okay, so that's the way we're gonna go look at it. How do we know it's pi over 3? First of all, let's think about it. If tangent inverse of 1, that's easy. The only way you can get 1 is a pi over 4. Does that make sense? Because sine of pi over 4 and cosine of pi over 4 are exact same value to divide, it's gonna give me 1. So it's definitely not pi over 4. So there's only down to 2 options. The two option is pi over 6 or pi over 3. So which one would it be? So we're not gonna worry about negative sign right now. We just say, what is sine of pi over 6 over cosine of pi over 6? Well, this one is gonna be 1/2 and square root 3 over 2. So it's 1/2 divided by square root 3 over 2. That's equal to 1/2 times 2 over square root 3. 2 and 2 cancel out, it's 1 over square root 3. Rationalize it. So that's going to be square root 3 over 3. So we know it's not pi over 6 because it didn't get square root 3 over 3. Therefore, one last option is going to be what? Pi over 3. So try pi over 3. So sine of pi over 3 over cosine of pi over 3. That's equal to square root 3 over 2. And 1/2. So it'll be square root 3 over 2. 2 over 1. So it's square root 3. So we know, in general, for your future reference, your life will be a whole lot easier if you just remember 3 different values. On unit circle, I usually have x and y value. Here's a pi over 6. Here's pi over 4. Here's a pi over 3, right? So for me, I'll actually remember the tangent value. Tangent value I here is going to be square root 3 over 3. Here's 1. Here's square root 3. So if you know that value, it's going to help you a whole lot, because if you see square root 3, automatically think about pi over 3. If you see square root of 3 over 3, that's automatic pi over 6. So this here might help you with tangent and cotangent. Cotangent is going to invert it. Okay, just change the position, but it's still same value. So your life is a whole lot easier when you think about that. But the problem is as negative sign. So negative sign, if it's a negative, tangent negative has to be at a fourth quadrant. So therefore, it has to be the pi over 3 at a fourth quadrant, therefore it's a negative pi over 3. Does that make sense? Got it, Nick? Okay. So we're gonna ask you different questions. We're gonna ask you a question like this one. So we're gonna give you 10 inverse of square root 3 over 3, and then we're gonna give you cosine of the same thing. So this is a composite. So in the function is the 10 inverse and the cosine of that. The chart will help you here. So I'm going to draw the chart for you. The chart is, the tangent value is going to be like this. So this is square root 3 over 3. This is 1 and this is square root 3. And this is pi over 4, pi over 6, and pi over 3. So it should be able to help you. Jaden, you gonna think about this one?
Oh yeah. Thinking about my intention.
I'll tell you, work at inside first. Don't worry about outside. Just start from inside. What do you think that is first? You're gonna get some type of radian and angles, and then you're gonna cosine the angle. So work from inside out. Aaron, you got it already? Who needs help?
Oh, you're right.
Eliza, you need help? Andres, you got it?
I think so.
What's your answer?
Right, there we go.
So look at the inside first. This is the angle. You're gonna get a result as an angle, but if you see here, it's gonna help you here. The only time you get square root of 3/3 is 5/6. So be cosine of 5/6. And that's gonna be square root of 3/2, and you're done. So you have to know your unit circle, like I said, 42. You have to know what number times what number now.
Yeah, I get it. Understood.
Okay? So I'll give you a try more. What do you think of this? Let's go. Okay, then you got it. Nick, you got it?
Yeah,
What'd you
I
get?
got one.
Oh, me too. Is it one?
Negative one.
It's negative one?
Eliza, what'd you get? Marion, can you help out Eliza? Karina, do you know? Can you help him out?
Oh, it's not negative
Okay.
one. You come over here.
Oh my god.
So those are the things that you have to think about. Start by restriction. What the sine inverse restriction is.
Oh, for that.
Is it between those two
No,
quadrants?
I forgot the restriction.
Wait, is it a negative what?
Yep. So what happened here, you're gonna get what?
How did I get
Theta, right? But we gotta figure out what a theta. Michael, what is sine inverse of negative square root 2/2?
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
Look at your unit circle.
I can look at my unit circle all day, I still won't know.
Wait, what?
After you do that, you see.
I'm looking at it right now.
After you do the, it's,
I don't
get
know.
the sign.
Yeah.
I don't get that sign inverse stuff.
Oh, I'm gonna pick it. I just knew it was a
I
video.
saw you didn't get it?
This is just it.
Okay, what is sine inverse of negative square root 2/2?
Not from here, it's going to go backwards.
Yeah. So I just skip that stuff. I just skip that stuff. Cause
So then you went back.
yeah, I went there.
To for negative one positive, so the answer's never good.
Andres, okay.
Oh, you know what that does? Yeah, I forgot. Fuck. Okay. Thank you, Daniel.
If you're looking at sine inverse, right? Negative one, 2/2. Alright, if you go to 2/2, you know that's the power of 4, right? Because on the unit circle, the outside is 2/2. But it's power of 4, so it's negative. You can't go off.
See, Michael, somebody trying to teach.
So
How about pay attention?
Negative
What's
5.
the name?
You know why? This on the unit circle
Right there.
is right here. So it's negative 3, right? So that's the negative. So it's over 4, right? Power of 4. But it can't be 7 power of 4 because it's in close to 4. Over there, there's like a thing that you can't pass it. So if you go 7 power of 4, you pass this line, right? So you can either go power of 4 or negative power of 4. Power of 4 is positive. You're looking for a negative. So be negative. So So that will give you the degree in inside, right? You got that? Then tangent. And that's just tangent is one, right?
So what happens after you get? Okay, so you got the restriction, okay, that's, the restriction's down the line, got that. Negative, radical over 2. Okay, once you get that, so what?
Where'd you get this from?
That,
Yeah,
you get that because that's what that is.
so that's what it is.
Negative radical 2 over 2 is that, that's what that is.
You're not looking for this, you're looking for the radius.
The angle, yeah, and I drew it, I got it.
What is it? That's not a radius. Yes, you're looking for this, not this.
No, any complications, right, like you understand how to.
They give you
Pi
this.
4.
So now we're asking you for, every time.
So that's what it is?
Yes.
And then what about that, after that?
Now then you solve it. 10 over.
Oh, okay, that's what that is. Wait, but you don't have restrictions, or you still do have your restrictions?
Once it's just tangent, you don't have restrictions. It's just a normal solve.
5 times 6, yeah.
The restrictions.
Where am I?
Alright, so you see
Okay.
the bracket here? You can't pass.
Okay.
Your answer can't go through this.
You mean negative pi over 4 or just
This
one?
is sine.
So if it's,
Restriction
if you get like 7
negative
power
half,
4,
positive half. So you could go like.
you have to go 7.
Nick, you got it?
Each quadrant.
Try a new question on the bottom.
So it'd be 1, 2.
I just posted new questions
Five
here.
power four, so you have to be like
So it has to be, because you don't power 4, you're not crossing the line.
So, for the example.
And this is the same thing as 7 power 4.
That's
so
just
it's
for you.
Right, yeah. Alright, so if you go up, it'd be 5, but you're looking for numbers.
If you got it, try the new questions.
I get that.
New questions on the bottom.
I just did that, I relooked at it.
Is that negative 3.5? I mean, negative 3.5?
Oh wait, that's negative?
6.
Yeah, wait, yeah, that's negative.
This is a -1, right?
Yeah, it's negative.
Same thing, you can go
Let's
from
try that out, let me know.
negative half, positive half, right? So, tangent of 1.
You have to know your unit circle by heart. If you don't know,
I know what vague.
So why is the restriction copied twice?
One, it's just the same restriction. Well, no, it's not actually.
what restriction copy twice?
Once you get
Sine
to
of
10.
x and tangent of x.
There's a 10x, 10 inverse of x.
Or, you know, negative
What?
The reason why sine of x restriction is the same as tangent x restriction.
So it's the same.
Yes.
So copy.
Similar, not the same.
Yes,
They don't including pi over 2 and pi over 2.
So with those restrictions, you would never be on the opposite side.
Yes.
You never saw the opposite side.
If it's the inverse, yes, you don't go to the outside of restriction.
Question. Yeah, the second one.
Is it 1 over 3?
The second one?
Yeah.
No.
So 1 over 3? No, it's not.
No.
Is it square root of 3?
I,
Is it negative square root?
I got square root of 3.
Negative square root of 3.
I got square root of 3.
You forgot the negative again.
Is it square root? What is it?
It's
Damn. I have a negative sign, but I took it away.
Yeah. Are we keeping these or are we giving these back?
no, you can keep it. You need to study for the next test.
These?
Yep.
Wait, what do you mean next test?
Next Friday, I said that
No,
yesterday.
you said that, but we're doing exactly this.
No, and this, everything. Yesterday I said what's on the test, I said everything is gonna be included. Sine, cosine, secant, cosecant, tangent, cotangent, inverse, everything's included.
Is this the last thing we're learning for the test?
No,
We have one more. How many lessons do we have after this?
it doesn't matter. You worry about today.
I got maybe promise.
You worry about now. If you don't understand this, then you're gonna screw up half the part, so let's worry about what you know right now.
Thank you. Oh, I forgot that the restriction was different for cosine.
Yeah, silly on J's.
Yeah, that makes more sense.
So this is actually a hard question. They're not easy. They just, you had to process a lot. You rather slow things down than trying to speed up. Think about all the restriction before you move on. All the students that mess up is because they try to go so fast to finish problem. You think about it first. A lot of times slow things down. It's like kind of like, you know, the movie Matrix. Then you start seeing this thing how things works if you slow
We're
it
in the
down.
matrix.
We are in Matrix.
Oh my god! What is it?
I saw that one. Sign of negative, whatever.
Right there, why is it?
Did you guys finish working on the second one?
Yes.
Cosine inverse of a negative square root 3 over 2. So what do you think is that, Eliza? Cosine inverse of negative square root 3 over 2. What do you think?
Sorry, just hold on.
They
Just go slowly.
Yeah. I got it.
No, that's not.
go one step at a
Look at the
time.
restriction. Ah, right here. It's just what's in the other. It wouldn't have six, but,
It's okay to be wrong,
since it's here.
but let's give it a try.
Remember, it's cosine.
Cosine's an x value or y value? Good. So when does x equal to negative square root 3 over 2?
100.
That's five. Remember?
No, it's gonna be an angle. It's gonna give you an angle. What?
It's the higher
Pi over 6 is correct, but it's negative.
Negative 5 hours.
So pi over 6 is right here, but you wanna go to negative x.
Actually,
On the other side of pi over 6, reference triangle.
right here. Because they can't just be pi over six, it would be here. It would make no sense. Yeah, yeah. If it was pi over six, it'd be here.
There you go.
Then cosine x.
So what's tangent of 5 pi over 6?
Alright.
The join I give it to you earlier will help you.
Negative 5 over 6.
What's tangent of 5 pi over 6?
Yeah. Then how is it? It is, but you're looking. Negative square root two, cosine x. And then this kind of, 5 over 6, you add it in,
Negative?
you get the y.
Justin, what'd you get? No. You are gonna get some type of value for tangent. Tangent only had 3 choices. Square root 3, 1, and square root 3 over 3.
Sir, negative radical 3 over 3.
The answer for this? Yes. That's it. Okay, next question. So we also gonna get sometimes like this. The other way. So the other way is asking this way, just for example number 3.
Slow down, okay.
So cosine inverse of cosine of 19 pi over 6.
That says 19 pi.
Yeah, 19 pi over 6.
Huh.
But that's easy. I mean, you just start from inside out, and then you can solve all the problem. You should be able to get an answer. The inside is going to give me a ratio, and ratio is going to give me inverse is going to give me an angle. So it's asking question backward again. Is it backward or backwards? So do really slow on those type of questions. You rather get it right than wrong.
I think I got the answer.
You just heard what he said.
When you multiply the same. Okay, we did it like out loud together. The same square. Square of 4
It's actually really interesting. This one's a really good question, actually. What is it?
Square root of 3 over 2.
And then cosine of that
Inverse
is the cosine.
cosine. 5 or 6. Is it 19 or 15?
19.
Cosine.
Is it 3 pi over 4?
Nope,
What?
definitely wrong.
What is it?
Cosine of 19 pi over 6. You don't know what 19 pi, at least tell me which quadrant it is.
Oh, I thought that was a
Quadrant
15.
1.
Huh?
Quadrant 1.
No.
I thought that was a 15. That looks like a 15.
No, not.
Which that's why I got it.
Because
It's on the
12
third
3 pi
quadrant.
over 6.
That's
Over
how it
6.
is.
I did say over 6,
I was
right?
thinking, no, I was thinking about over 3. I said 3, 6, okay. So
12,
6, 12,
18,
18,
it's on
and
third.
19. It's the third quadrant. But.
Is it 5 pi over 6?
Oh, just cosine.
Just cosine.
Good.
The third quadrant.
Good job, Michael. See, now you're thinking.
Negative 1.
Is it in the third part?
Yeah.
It's in the third quadrant.
I thought it was a 15.
19 pi over 6, right? 19 pi over 6 is, here is what? 12 pi over 6, right? So I'm gonna refresh again. So 12 pi over 6 subtract 19 pi over 6. You have 7 pi over 6 left. So 7 pi over 6 is having 6 pi over 6. 7 pi over 6 is right here. So then that's gonna be cosine inverse of square root of 3, negative square root of 3 over 3, on 2. And then that's gonna be 5 pi over 6 because that was restrictions. So they don't cancel, don't do that. They're actually gonna get 5 pi over 6. Very good question.
Yeah, I was doing good.
Do you need another one?
Yes.
Okay, you can try J, J for number 3.
Okay.
What?
J for number 3. So the question says for tangent inverse of 10 of negative 5 pi over 4. You write it slow down, knowing your exact value, knowing your unit circles. I told you, that unit circle could be unit circle of life or unit circle of death. So if you don't know it, it'll be death. If you know it, it'll be life.
It's a.
So you like Shroud and
Oh, and
Florida.
it's handy too.
You like pain joys and see other people feel pain.
What are you talking? That's your part.
Pain or joy is not relevant to where you are.
Huh?
You.
What can enjoy is not.
Negative 5 over 4. Indeed.
This?
Yeah. Because you get negative 1 and then the only negative 1. But on this side is the north side.
Oh, yeah.
So does that make sense?
Yeah, there's only one that I don't understand.
Wait, it's negative pi over
Go
4.
from A, I don't
Wait,
understand
what was that
2
again?
E.
I think it's negative pi over 4.
Negative power four.
That's right.
Oh,
What's the answer?
Whoa.
Negative power four. I don't understand 2 E.
I got you.
Really do.
I'm working on it now.
Don't get it wrong, do it first.
Alright.
Calculate and then explain.
So if you have a radical negative, you can't cross it out or, I don't know what word for it, cross it out.
There's 2.
You cannot cancel.
There's 2 E.
You have to think about it. The answer is gonna be negative pi over 4.
1 over
Yeah.
3.
Exactly. I don't understand it.
Which one?
2 E.
2E?
The second E, there's 2 E.
Okay, 2E.
So 2
Basically, we're gonna talk about that in a
Yeah,
second.
it's like negative 1 over 3.
The answer is negative 1 over 3. We're gonna talk about how much
You
time
just
I have.
cancel this side.
2 minutes.
Okay, we don't have enough time.
How do you get 4?
You don't have.
So for you guys, your homework is gonna be 1, 2, 3. Question 1, 2, 3. We're gonna worry about 4, 5, 8 next time. But you can work it out. a lot of time it's up to your mind. Your mind sort of switch that I can do this, you can do it. If you're stuck in that I cannot do it, it's too hard, then you're always gonna be that way.
Do you need the test
So that's
though?
what you right? That's negative 5.
Mister, the test, can you back?
Yeah, no, you don't need to back.